Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Katz. I'm Jamal's therapist.
How's Jamal doing?
We'll wait for him to tell you.
Excuse me, do you have a sound system in here? I want my brother to hear some new stuff I've been working on.
I'm afraid you'll have to wait another 3 weeks until...
Sunny Day Recovery Center doesn't believe in music.
It's just one of the many stupid rules at this dire refugee camp.
Tory, this is a private family session.
Yo, Tory Ash.
Joaquin Lion. Oh, an entree. And the mama bear lion herself. What's up, Cookie?
Tory.
Relax, cornball. I'm just saying hello. From what Jamal's told me, I'm surprised all your little lion cubs aren't in rehab.
Don't try me, little girl. Not today. Please.
Oh, Cookie, I could try you, but I think I'd rather wait and try Lucius instead.
Oh, yeah, you should do that, because you'll stay alive.
I already told you he's not coming. See, I met my crazy-ass friend Tory.
Give it up one more time for Rumer Willis. Let's hear it. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on your role in Empire. What is that like? How did that happen?
It was kind of crazy. I was doing press last year for a cabaret tour I did, and I did this interview with Sway, and they kind of off the cuff asked me to sing, and it ended up being...
Watched that interview this morning. You sing beautifully in it.
Thank you. It was this Amy Winehouse tune, and I guess Jesse, who plays Jamal, saw it and then sent it over to the producers and was like, this girl needs to be Tory Ash. She's it. And so he told me the first day I was on set, and I was like, well, I guess I have you to thank.
Now, watching that clip, it's crazy to me that anyone would try to take on Cookie anymore at this point. Like, if there's nothing that show hasn't proven, it's that Cookie will kick the shit out of anybody that comes near her, yet your character going for it right off the bat.
Yeah, Tori doesn't really care who it is. I'm pretty sure she would go up to anybody and wouldn't matter and just say
exactly what she
wants. Is that confidence
or self-destruction?
Probably a little both.
So tell me about Tori.
She's kind of this Amy Winehouse kind of, she has a lot of that vibe, and I think that they drew a lot of that, which I was totally stoked about because she's one of, my musical idols. But she's got this very kind of volatile, self-destructive, you never really know what's going to kind of come out of her mouth or what she's going to do. So I think it's something that kind of makes her really fun to watch. But at the end of the day, she's very passionate about her music, and I think that that's where her and Jamal really connect.
So do you get to sing some songs?
I do.
And what kind of say do you have over the songs that they give you? Do you have any say? Because a lot of times, you're the performer, so they got to work with you and play to your strengths and figure out what you'd be phenomenal at in the show. Or do they just come and say, hey, this is the song, get ready?
It depends. Like, the first couple songs that I did, I hadn't really talked to the music guys yet, but I heard them and I was completely blown away. The songs were incredible, and I felt like had a perfect mix of almost what I've been looking for in my own music, which it has a lot of that kind of jazzy, bluesy vibe, but also has really cool, strong beats. And I think they've done a mixture, so they're updated enough, so they're still kind of present and cultural, but still have that kind of throwback, old school vibe too.
Where do you get your bluesy influences from?
Definitely my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of jazz and blues music.
Doesn't he have a blues album?
Yeah, he's got a few. He did actually a cover of Secret Agent Man that makes me laugh whenever I'm having a bad day.
I remember the original album that he had. It was like Bruce is Back or The Bruce is Back or something like that, right?
I think his name for a little while on those was like Bruno or something.
Bruno's Back. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's so cool, though, that you get this blues influence from him and that you're a singer, because I feel quite often, rarely does anyone approach pop music from a blues sensibility anymore. It's very much from the bubblegum sensibility.
Yeah, I think for me, it's always about finding a mix and that's why I think I waited so long to put myself out there as a musician, because I didn't know exactly the right platform or how I wanted to present music, because I didn't want to just go the kind of bubblegum platform route. And for those that's their jam, more power to you. And I think that there's a lot of demand for that. But I always wanted to find a way to put some of myself and some of my influences and the music that I love into it. And I think that they've done a great job on the show. The episode tonight actually has a really cool song that I'm really excited about.
What are you listening to right now?
Man, what am I listening to right now? My sister just showed me this guy the other day called Alan Stone. that I really like. And I can't lie, I have Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Like, I don't know why, but in my car, I love listening to it. But
People love that song.
I know, it's so catchy.
Yeah, that's why I shut it off immediately. I started hearing it. I was like, "That's too catchy. I don't want it."
See, but
I don't want
I'll
that
hear
in
it
my
once,
head.
and then I'll just be in the shower or just like hanging out at my house and start kind of like bobbing my head, and I'm like, what am I singing? Why is this happening? Stuck in my head now.
Talk to me about your cabaret show. How did that come about?
I had done a show out here at the Carlisle, and my best friend and gay husband, who's also my roommate,
Your life partner.
exactly. It's a great non-sexual power couple is our hashtag most of the times on our Instagram. But he said to me after that, he's like, why don't we do a tour? I mean, the shows went really well, and we just thought, I don't even know, maybe we could try this out. And we reached out, see if if there was interest, and we put together a 20-city tour, and it was incredible.
Wow. What did you learn on that tour about yourself as a performer?
So much. I have so much respect for people who go on tour, because it seems, doing one show or even 5 shows in a row seem doable. But then when you're on a bus and every night going to a new city, you get really tired, and you really have to be wary of your voice, and you can't stay up or really talk sometimes after the shows, because it's an instrument. You have to be really careful to make sure that you can use it every night.
Yeah, you get into that space where you start to realize, not that I've ever done it, I'm speaking like I've done it, but it seems to me that you would sort of get into the space where you have to realize how hard the work is and how much process actually goes into a tour. Because all we know about a tour is that you perform and it looks fun, but like you said, you can't talk maybe for a day because you're preserving your voice.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's so much also, you have to remember that every show you do, it's a new crowd. And even if you're tired, even if whatever's going on, you have to perform for that crowd like it's...
You got to give them the show.
Exactly. You have to show up for people who are coming and taking the time to come see you. And I think that that's so important.
Because no one at that show is going to be like, well, she was great at the last one that I wasn't
Exactly.
at, so I'll give her a break tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get back to Empire. You're on screen just in that clip with, in my opinion, movie stars are charismatic. Lots of stars are charismatic. Taraji may be the most charismatic person on screen right now. What was it like sharing the screen with her?
It was so fun. I was definitely a little intimidated. That was my first
She's
scene.
a badass.
But with everybody, that was the first scene that I had shot on the show, and I woke up that morning, and the scene is literally with the entire, cast of regulars. And it can be a little daunting to walk into a room where these people obviously have created friendships and relationships, and they know each other for the last 3 years. But everybody was so welcoming, and she's so funny. I think I laughed so hard that day on set, just at being around. And it was also really great to just watch. They all do really interact like a family, which was pretty cool to be around.
And this isn't the first time that you've jumped into a show and had to hang out with a bunch of series regulars, right?
No, I've done it a few times, but this is, I have to say, when I saw this, when I went in an audition for this, and it even just said Empire, and then it said, kind of rock star, kind of like Amy Winehouse, I was like, I don't even care what I have to do, just sign me up, I'm in. I loved this show even before I was ever on it, so I was really excited.
And what's it like getting to do the songs and the choreography? And I mean, is it difficult? Is the process tough learning all of that? Because a TV show moves fast.
It does, but I have to say, shooting this is truly like almost doing a mini film in a certain way. The crew that they have are so unbelievably talented, and just the lighting, the sets. I walked onto the sets the first day and was absolutely blown away at the quality and just what they have going on and how they all work together. That is one of the best crews I've seen in a really long time, and I don't know, I have to pinch myself a little bit sometimes when people are like, oh, you're on Empire, that's great. And I'm like, oh man, I'm on one of my favorite shows. This is really cool.
Are you gonna watch the episode tonight, or have you sort of already seen it and you don't have
No,
to watch it?
I haven't seen it yet. I want to check it out. I'm really excited.
So are you gonna have a little viewing party with some friends and watch it, or are you like a little more nervous and you don't really want to?
If I was home, I definitely would, but my viewing party is probably going to consist of me in my hotel room tonight.
Probably better that way, just in case, like you're probably amazing and everyone would say you're amazing, but I would watch myself and solely be nitpicking and like mean to myself. Well, oh, I could have done that better and I could have done this better. I would want no one around me.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a hard thing, I think, as an actor or performer of any kind to be judgmental of yourself. But I think there's so much judgment that gets thrown around nowadays between how much we judge ourselves, how much, women judge other women and everybody. And it's all about this kind of pursuit for perfection. But I think that the beauty is in the flaws, and just to take moments and go, oh, you know what, maybe I didn't like that about myself, but this is really cool. Look at this amazing opportunity. Growing up as a kid, this is like a total dream come true for me. So I just have to try and, I think, focus on the coolest parts and the parts that make you happy.
Do you think you got a sense of what balance looks like in the industry from kind of growing up in it, that like you can sort of escape a lot of maybe the same insecurities or issues that one might have with a performance, or how to deal with things because you grew up with maybe advice that was given to you once you started acting, which was like, hey, don't focus on this, make sure you focus on this because this will just eat you alive if you focus on it?
I think at the end of the day, we're all human, and someone could tell you a million times, don't listen to that. And no matter what job you have, not just as a performer, in anything that you do, we can find things to pick apart. But I think it all just comes from trial and error and figuring it out for yourself, because we all have that, oh, I wish I did this, or I wish I looked like this, or, my friend calls it compare despair.
That's good.
Yeah, you can't do that, otherwise it's never going to be right.
So that Sway interview that you were talking about that you did where they heard, I was listening to that interview this morning, and I don't want to talk politics at all, but I thought what was so fascinating was that you briefly mentioned that you were a Bernie Sanders supporter at one point, and your dad is fairly well known as a somewhat conservative guy. I'll make no assumptions about where he falls in the conservative line right now, because that's unfair to any conservative. But I'm wondering, one of the big conversations right now in our culture is that this divide is so big, and it's really difficult for people to come together and talk. And being a Bernie Sanders supporter is very far on the left, and a conservative is over here on the right. How do you and your dad bridge that divide and talk about politics or not talk about politics? Keep things civil.
I don't think I've ever talked with my dad about politics, not when I was a kid, because to be honest, and I feel bad for saying this, but I truly I never informed myself before this past year. I never really cared about politics, didn't really have any interest, and I had a couple friends that this past year were big Bernie supporters, and I started realizing that I needed to inform myself about what was going on. And
It's also nothing to be ashamed of. This past year, a lot of people suddenly became informed, It seemed an absolute necessity.
And I think it is, and I think the struggle is I went to the Women's March in Chicago, and I marched, and it was incredible, and it was sad to me that there's so much kind of, if any opposing opinion is negative, and I wish that we could find a place to be able to just even have a conversation, because I am more than willing to have a conversation with someone. If someone presents an argument to me and they have facts and can say, this is actually why I believe in this, then go and have your beliefs, whatever they are. Like, that is your right, and you can do that. But as opposed to just being, oh, this is what you believe, then you're, cutting off the conversation, I think is just hard. If we can try and all at least communicate a little bit, it might be a little better, hopefully.
I couldn't agree more. Did you grow up did you grow up singing with your dad? Did he jam with you and you guys would sing together?
We were always just kind of singing in the house. I remember my sisters and I used to put on shows in the living room, and my dad, I don't know why, but was like a huge fan of the Coasters. And they do that song, Smokey Joe's Cafe. And so for some reason, I think I knew like half of, or at least all of the songs on one of the Coasters albums when I was a kid. But we were always goofing around and kind of singing around the house.
I had Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi when I was a little kid, because that's what was always being listened to in my house. Would run around and sing it all the time. And they'd be like, all right, that's enough. You can stop singing.
With the hair flip?
I think I might have had the hair flip, like a little 5-year-old with a shaved head trying to do the flip all the time. So you're on Empire, and, what is it like working with this entire cast?
They're amazing, and honestly have been so welcoming. and so fun. And Jesse and I really hit it off the first day and became good friends. And it's been really fun. It's been amazing to be on a show that everyone really seems to get along and have a great time. And honestly, being around people that I'm excited to work with, that I'm inspired by, that I think are extremely talented.
And your character, you said, is kind of like lightly influenced by Amy Winehouse. She's in rehab. How depraved do we get to see her get? How far does she fall in the episodes that we're
Oh,
gonna
I don't
see?
want to give away any secrets,
Did you get to
but
do some big dramatic work?
there's definitely some interesting things coming up for Tori for the end of the season. But she definitely finds a way, I think, to cause a trail of chaos wherever she goes.
Let's turn it over to the audience for questions right here.
Hello, thanks for being here.
Of course.
I've read that you like to do things out of your comfort zone, so I was wondering, is there anything you haven't done yet that you would like to do?
Oh man, that's a great question. There's a lot. I mean, I think I try and find stuff all the time that I'm scared to do. I went skydiving recently, which was terrifying.
Wait, tell us about it, please, because I want to go skydiving, and I'm just always been too nervous to do it.
I was terrified. For about 2 days when I found out it was going to happen with a group of friends, I was vehemently against it and was like, no. And then I got there and everyone was doing it. And so I was like, well, I can't be the only one that's not doing this.
You're going to jump off a bridge if all your friends do it too?
No, I won't go bungee jumping. I will not go bungee jumping.
So when you jump out of the plane, you land, do you have this feeling when it's all over that you can kind of take on the world and conquer anything? Does everything sort of feel possible?
I was just glad I was alive. I mean, I had a big man strapped to my back, and I was like, please don't kill me. I really would like to survive this. But it is kind of crazy feeling weightless, but they don't tell you to shut your mouth. And so all this air just comes rushing in your mouth, and your cheeks just start flapping. And I had a video of it somewhere. It was pretty funny. I look ridiculous.
Next question.
Hi, Rumer.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
So far in your career, has there been a particular moment that you've been sort of the most proud of, or just sort of like, here I am, I'm so happy to be doing
wow.
this?
I feel like I've had a few moments like that recently that, I mean, obviously, like, winning Dancing with the Stars was huge for me, but then being able to go to Broadway this past year truly has been kind of amazing. And, you know, I've struggled for a really long time to kind of put myself out there and keep working and find out exactly which avenue I wanted to put myself in and where I felt like I would fit, because I do love acting, but I also love singing, and now I'm, you know, a huge fan of dancing. And I feel like this year I've gotten to really explore so many different avenues, and I feel like, honestly, being on Empire and finding a show that being able to sing and act at the same time is really kind of was a proud moment. I felt like I had a grown-up job for the first time in a really long time.
Sorority Row wasn't a grown-up job?
It totally was, but I feel like, you know, you can do a few movies, and I did that when I was, oh man, so many years ago. But you know, when you're an actor and you do work, and then maybe you won't work for a couple months, or you do this, and so I don't know. I feel like because TV is so huge right now too, like getting a job on a show
the
that's
biggest
actually
show on
it's
television,
pretty big, you know, and maybe it's because I also feel more grown up, and I'm trying to focus on my career more and where I want to go and how I want to impact and all of that. It's probably where the grown up part comes in.
I think we have time for one more question right back there.
Hey, Rumer, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm wondering, like, as an artist and as an actress, like, is there anything that you do to prepare yourself before you go on stage or do a scene?
With stage, you know, or with especially singing, I think it's always just, you can warm up and you can do all of the physical things, but I think even with acting as well, you really have to get to a point with whether you're learning lyrics or lines that you're not just saying the words and you're really thinking about what you want to say. And because someone can sing a song beautifully, but if you're not connecting with what the words in the song are saying, then you just have a pretty voice. And I think that for me, it's always been important to really connect to what message you're trying to share. And I think that plays along in acting as well.
What's been the most difficult part of your career so far? What's been the biggest challenge?
I think a lot of the time that people have this misconception that I've grown up in this way where I somehow feel like I'm constantly trying to get out of my parents' shadow. And I've never felt that way. I was
actually going to say, listening to that Sway interview, it was different than the majority, I think, of most interviews I hear with people who are the children of, for lack of a better word, famous actors, which is that you're very open about it. It's just kind of a thing, and you're not you're not like answering every question with like, I had to work really hard to get to where I am here.
By the way, everybody has to work really hard to get anywhere, you know, and I feel like...
But when you feel the need to state it all the time, suddenly we question it.
And it's also, at the end of the day, like everybody has parents, and that shouldn't mean that I work harder or I work less because of who mine are or what circumstances it is, you know. I'm grateful for my parents for, you know, kind of instilling this in me, that doesn't matter where you've come from. At the end of the day, everybody has problems. They might be different and they might look different, but bigger or smaller, your problems are just as important to you, you know what I'm saying? And so if you try and hide from the fact, then I think it takes away from you as opposed to actually helping you out. And so I've constantly just tried to make it a priority for myself to just work hard and work for my own career and not needing to prove myself. Because look, it's hard at the end of the day. You have to really want to be, if you want to be an actor, or if you want to be a singer, you have to really want it. And you have to be willing to get 1,000 people saying no for the 10 people that say yes. And learn how to just not take it personally and keep going and keep kind of persevering.
How do you see that misconception that you spoke of usually come up? How does it normally come up?
In interviews, most of the time. I think, I don't know. I think people just think that I'm like under this like huge burden to like, I must be more famous or more successful or better than them. And I'm like, why? Why can't I just be proud that my parents have had, you know, great careers and I look up to them and be perfectly okay to kind of pave my own way.
Have your own life.
Yeah, and be my own person.
Absolutely. Well, your episode of Empire premieres tonight, and you are on for the rest of the season. Rumer, thank you so much for being here. Guys, check out Empire tonight on Fox. Thank you, Rumer.
Of course, thank you.